As a quick precursor to this episode, I would love to invite you to attend the autumn edition of my in-person event, Dare Greatly in the Coaching Arena, which will be held on Friday the 8th of November in Barnes, southwest London. It's a 5-minute walk from Barnes Station, and there's also a free car parking place on site. So it's the best of both worlds. We will be preparing and planning for your best ever 2025, and you will leave with that vision and strategy for your next 12 months with a newfound sense of connection and focus. We will be harvesting your present and planting the seeds for a profitable and joyful 2025, allowing your business goals to bloom with ease. I'm very excited to be bringing the warmth of the season and all of those beautiful colours and everything we can learn from shedding what no longer serves us and preparing for spring. Embrace the seasons of change and join me on 8th of November to Dare Greatly in the Coaching Arena. Do not worry if you don't know anyone. I will ensure that you feel welcome from the moment you arrive until the moment you leave. I cannot wait to see you there, and grab the link now in the show notes. Hello and welcome to Women in the Coaching Arena podcast. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Jo Lott, a business mentor and ICF accredited coach, and I help coaches to build brilliant businesses. I know that when you prepare to enter the arena, there is fear, self-doubt, comparison, anxiety, uncertainty. You can tend to armour up and protect yourself from vulnerability. In this podcast, I'll be sharing honest, not hype, practical and emotional tools to support you to make the difference that you're here for. Dare greatly, you belong in this arena. Hello, welcome to the 60th episode of Women in the Coaching Arena. I am so glad you are here. I've been reflecting on what would be a useful topic, and I realised I have never covered storytelling in attracting clients and how you can utilise that in your business. So excited to dive deeper into this today. I actually often say that I'm not very good at storytelling, but I think I am good at it if I'm talking out loud, like on this podcast. It's so easy to remember examples and to drop them in and to go off on a tangent, remembering things. But I actually find it quite hard to do in writing. So if that is you, don't worry, it's still possible to utilize storytelling to attract coaching clients into your business. I first realized the power of this when I reflect on my best performing LinkedIn posts, and every single one of them is about women making money, which is something I kind of go off on a tangent about occasionally. And it was interesting when you look at your best performing posts over the years, the fact that I took the low paying job once I had children to try and balance it all, and how now I'm so passionate about helping women make money on their terms around their own commitments. Part of my story has definitely helped people to resonate with me and sign up for my coaching program. Stories have the ability to influence people's thoughts, feelings, and decisions in a way that logical information can't. We are created to connect with real stories. In terms of the psychology behind storytelling, mirror neurons mean that when we hear a story, that same neurological regions are activated as if we are experiencing it ourselves. So when I perhaps share my story of having to overcome that challenge and step into creating a business on my terms, it helps people remember their own journey of quitting their job and starting their business for the first time. Stories bypass the analytical, rational part of the brain and directly tap into instincts, emotions, and decision making. And it's good to remember that we buy on emotion. So if you can help your ideal client feel something, they are far more likely to buy from you. When we can visualize things, it also really helps. So stories will help people to remember enough to be able to relay that information and to really hook into what you shared in terms of a story. So if you're creating posts, it's really great to think about how you can relay that in real life. A real commonly told story is the hero's journey, and this resonates so universally with us. The reason why it resonates is because we have all dealt with struggle and growth. So, the hero's journey talks about that fundamental human experience of facing challenges and undergoing transformation and emerging victorious that we can all relate to on a personal level. I'm sure we've all been through experiences in our life when it's just felt utterly terrible and we feel like we're never going to get to the other side, but somehow we do. So that theme taps into our core desire for meaning and self actualization. The emotional roller coaster is another reason why the hero's journey resonates, because despite us always feeling like we are the only one who is up and down, everybody is. And the hero's story takes your ideal client on that emotional journey of the hero, which is the journey from an ordinary place of going to work and coming back again. Then, usually, like the adventure and the trials and sacrifices along the way, usually at some point hitting some sort of rock bottom and triumphing over adversity. And hearing that reminds us that we are not alone and this is normal, despite us often feeling like we are the only ones feeling that roller coaster of emotions. The hero's journey helps us on a subconscious level understand their motivations, their flaws, their thinking patterns, their transformation. It helps us also to remember that we can achieve the impossible if we persevere and are courageous. And it reminds us that we can reach our biggest goals and dreams. The hero's journey is essentially a metaphor for the cycle of life, being birthed into the world, encountering problems, seeking advice and allies, going through good times and bad times, and finally achieving mastery. So, this aligns with the patterns of our own growth and how we understand the world from such an early age. That hero's journey, which is a great one for your about page on your website, is important because it reveals truths about us as humans, the growth process, and desire to live a life of meaning. And it's all woven into that emotionally gripping narrative that you find in movies, in soap operas, and that's why these things are successful. And when you share your story, you build rapport with your ideal client and remembering it takes know, like, and trust to buy from you. So usually a story helps them know you, like you, and trust you in order to eventually be able to become your client. So let's think about the types of stories that you can tell as a coach. So we've talked about that first one, the hero's journey. That's ideal for your website, for your social media. If you have undergone the journey of your ideal client, and what I find is most of us do the work because we have been on that journey. So if that is you, then the hero's journey is perfect for your website and for your social media. Another great type of story you can tell is your client success story. I talk about this a lot, how we can paint the picture of the transformation our ideal client went on, really giving that detail instead of just saying it was great and they listened well. We really want to hear what went on in their life and what tangible difference your coaching made in their life. And as much as you can make it emotionally compelling, then people will be able to see themselves in your other clients' success stories. An inspirational story is another one, telling the story of a client or even a public figure who overcame extraordinary odds or obstacles through the power of coaching and perseverance. I love doing this when I record this podcast, and I often just pull in stories without even meaning to help to inspire and motivate you to take action, to remind you that this is possible for you. For example, I had an onboarding call with someone today, and she talked about the fact that it's a tough market right now. It seems to be really busy and that type of thing. And I shared with her that I never, ever think about the market. Like, does that mean no one's buying? No, very rarely does it mean no one's buying. So if they're buying from someone, How about you are going to be the best out there? So they're buying from you, even if it is tough economical times. People are still buying. There are still people out there. You only need a few. It's not like you need millions of people to fill your practice. So, what I love to do is inspire people to look for success stories. Look for the people that are succeeding in your industry. Know that it is possible. And if it's possible for them, it is possible for you too. A final story I will touch on is the educational story. So you can use a narrative to illustrate maybe a key methodology you use, a type of paradigm shift that you facilitate with your clients, how you can simplify those complex ideas through story of what happened when you asked that particular question. And it really then might resonate with your ideal client and them think, yeah, that was a good one. So they align with what they need to believe to buy your program. So, for example, if you are a career coach, they need to know that they can have a job that they enjoy. They need to believe that it is possible for people like them to have a career that they enjoy. So, everything you're doing in your marketing is to change those beliefs to help them to see that this is possible. And therefore, if they buy your service, they are highly likely to achieve that success. So let's talk about how to craft these compelling stories. The key story elements are a relatable character, often you or your other clients that you might be showcasing. Usually, there is some sort of conflict and challenge that they have been through. Next up is the journey or transformation, the types of things that you did that help. And finally, we want to end with the resolution, like how did that help you to gain your success right now? So it's interesting, isn't it? Without even realizing what I'm doing a lot of the time, that is what I share in my story, that the relatable character is someone whose parents said they needed to get a good job, so they went and got a good job. The conflict or challenge is that you have children, you realize you can't do the hours you used to do, you can't travel the way you used to do. And then the journey transformation of having no confidence and absolute rock bottom that I could run a business or find work that works around me and my family and my values. And finally, with the resolution of my goodness, this has actually happened and this is possible with the power of a lot of coaching over the last few years. To help you to really set the scene, I would suggest painting vivid details. I went on a storytelling course once and I was absolutely rubbish at this at the time. And it's the details, such as I remember someone really taking ages to paint this story of the different shades in the trees. And I remember thinking, God, they need to hurry up. But actually, now looking back, that's the thing I remember. I can literally picture the tree that she painted in this storytelling course that I was on in my workplace. So it's funny how we can hook into those visual elements, and that helps us to remember the person, the story, the point of the story. You're wanting to build tension and emotion, highlight those perspective shifts that you had, and showcase a inspirational, hopeful resolution, because that is ultimately what we all want. Metaphors and analogies also work really well. Many people talk about my front door, back door methodology when I talk about selling coaching. The amount of coaches that say, yeah, I know it's back door rather than front door. So that analogy has really, really helped me to help more coaches understand that we can get so stuck in the back door of the confidence, the mindset, all the things that people really need to have the success that they want. But we need to keep remembering the front door, which is the thing that they ultimately just want right now. And that is the hardest thing to do as coaches when we spend so much of our lives in the back door. That is the coaching session when they're in your program. But the front door is before they understand that any of that is at all important in their journey. So you can do that too in your storytelling. Let's turn to incorporating stories into your marketing. So, first up, your easy win is your about page on your website. Showcase your hero's journey. People want to know who you are. They don't want to know just your qualifications. They want to know you as a person. Another way you can showcase storytelling on your website is through those client stories, your case studies, your testimonials, your results. Email marketing is another place where you can bring in stories. My wonderful friend, Faye Wallace, always incorporates stories into her email marketing. And it helps you to want to read the end because everyone wants to know the end of a story. Social media is another place where you can share your day in the life, your behind the scenes glimpses. These work really well in launches as well. One of my clients, Jess, at the moment is mid a launch and she is doing an amazing job with painting that behind the scenes of her portal and what she's preparing for the clients who have joined her group program. Sales conversations is another way you can bring in storytelling by sharing those stories that address your ideal clients' objections of like, does this work for me? I know another client of mine, Lavana, hello, if you're listening, said to me, has anyone you work with come from my industry? I worry that because you used to work in HR, that everyone in your program is from HR. And I was able to say, no, I've got 2 other people from your industry in my program right now. So that really helped her join the program, knowing that I could help people like her. So in conclusion, stories create emotional resonance that build that know, like, and trust that people need to buy from you. Have a think about how you can consciously collect those stories from your ideal clients and your own life experience. And if we're thinking about the topics that we covered today, firstly, we talked about the psychological behind the scenes reasons for storytelling. We unpacked the hero's journey and why that is such a successful story in your marketing. We talked about the types of stories for you to tell, including client success stories, personal journey, inspirational story, and educational story. We talked about how to create compelling stories, those key elements in a story, and how to set that scene with vivid details. We covered how you can incorporate stories into your marketing on your website, email marketing, social media, and in sales conversations. Tell a story this week. Please do tag me in or share the link to your post with me afterwards. I would absolutely love to see your stories and support you on social media. I'm on LinkedIn as Joanna Lott. That's Joanna with an A, Lott with 2 T's, and Instagram as Joanna Lott Coaching. So please do go out there, share your hero's story and tag me in or share it with me afterwards. I would love to see that this podcast episode has helped you. And if you want the accountability to do this, these are the sorts of things we cover in our weekly calls in the business of coaching. You have breakout rooms in order to come up with your story, for example. And then at the end of the session, I would be asking you to share in our Slack channel what you're intending to do differently as a result of this week's session. So if you're ever wondering what it feels like to be part of the business of coaching and why it's such a successful container, it's not about the content and the fact you've already nailed your niche or you've done your offer, you already know about marketing. It's the fact that every single week you become an absolute expert in your field. You get inspired to take different action than you would normally take, because that is what it takes right now to have that commitment to be the best, to learn every single week and get better and better at your craft of marketing and selling your amazing coaching. So if you are interested in help to make this happen, you will find the details of my program in the show notes. I would love to work with you to help you to personalize everything we do into your business. And like I say at the end of every episode, trust yourself, believe in yourself, and be the wise gardener who keeps on watering the seeds. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Women in the Coaching Arena. I have a mass of free resources on my website, joannalottcoaching.com. That's Joanna with an A and Lott with 2 T's, joannalottcoaching.com. And I'll also put links in the show notes below. Let me know if you found this episode useful, share it with a friend and leave me a review you, and I will personally thank you for that. Remember to trust yourself, believe in yourself, and be the wise gardener who keeps on watering the seed. Get into the arena, dare greatly, and try.